everyone, and welcome back to Sundays in the Garden. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sarah, and every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock I post a video which shares the previous week every single day. So I'm actually filming every single day of my gardening year in 2025. The highs, the lows, there have been a few lows this year, but there have also been some amazing highs, one of which being I've just taken on my very first allotment, which is so exciting. I've got a cottage garden here and I've got a kitchen garden area as well as the brand new allotment. Next week I am very excitingly helping the lovely Kate, the messy allotmenteer over on Instagram, to build a show garden at Gardener'S World Live, and there's lots of exciting things coming up for the remainder of the year. So if any of these things sound like something you might be interested in, I would love for you to subscribe to join the community as we learn and grow together. I'm actually filming this video on Thursday the 29th of May, but let's now jump back to last Sunday to see how the gardening week has gone so far.
On Sunday, my robin friend came down to say hello, and she stayed and stayed and stayed. After that joy, we had a busy day, and then I spent the evening down at the allotment for a solo trip, and here I am just collecting some water to do some watering, because we still at this point had had no rain at all, so everything needed a really good water. Just using the bucket today, as I think I left the watering can at home, but still did the job just as well. And I also took the lawnmower back with me just to see if I could mow a few more areas to keep it under control before I'm able to get on top of it all a bit more. And again, I was really pleased with how much the lawnmower managed to do and cope with, considering the conditions it's working under, bless it. So it did a really good job. On Monday, it was time to get back on top of this bed. Not before first having a moment's pause to feed my little friend. A moment for this beautiful comfrey, which I'm going to use to make into a plant feed. And it was back to sorting this bed out. Here I am raking it all over to make it nice and clear for this cucumber frame that I picked up from Crocus. It doesn't seem particularly tall, and I feel like it's not going to necessarily do the job, but it was only, I think, $5.99 from Crocus, so I'm going to give it a go and see how I get on with it, and fashion it into something else if it doesn't work in the way I'm hoping for this year. Let me know in the comments if you think this is going to be suitable for my cucumbers based on the height. I feel like it's just not going to give it enough room to grow, but let's see how we get on. Tuesday the 27th of May was the day of my lovely mother-in-law's funeral, so I appreciated the morning visit from my friendly Robin all the more. After a long and emotional day, where the rain was reflecting our mood, I got home and it was once again the garden that called me to help deal with life's challenges. I just set about a simple task, tying in these pumpkins and the cucumbers that I'd planted the day before, and just doing something simple and mindful out in the garden really helped to put the day and all of its emotions into perspective. Saturday morning, my little boys and I spent the morning at our local forest school. My oldest has been attending this setting for over 2 years now, and unfortunately the lady that runs the forest school is having to move on from this beautiful setting after she's built it up over the last 20 years. So we spent a beautiful morning in the forest saying goodbye. Another goodbye to add to a very emotional week for us all. After a busy morning in the forest and a busy afternoon of teaching, I then came home, had my tea, and spent the evening in the kitchen garden. First of all, I stopped to smell these beautiful sweet peas, which I cut and put in a vase later on in the evening, and then I set about moving these potatoes from the greenhouse up into the kitchen garden area because the greenhouse is having an overhaul tomorrow. I moved all of these up to the area by the fruit cage, and they are looking rather floppy, so I'm not sure how much longer these are going to last, but I'm going to leave them as they are until they die back, because it will just give the little potatoes underground a bit more chance to grow a bit bigger. These are my first early Red Duke of York, so I probably could get a reasonable harvest from them now, but I'm going to leave them that bit longer. That was my why are they looking so floppy face, I think. Now I am tying in an additional run of bean that I had in the greenhouse, and now I am popping in the remainder of the peas that are still left in the greenhouse. Basically just a mass exodus of everything that was left in the greenhouse. I've also got some nigella here, which I am popping in next to the cucumbers just because there's a slight gap here. I love to mix in flowers with my edibles just to bring in those pollinators and make the area look pretty, really. So hopefully these will do okay here. They might get a bit battered around, but fingers crossed they will do reasonably well. And I'll just have to keep an eye on them and see how they get on. I'm also popping some nigella down here next to the courgettes, just kind of flanking them on either side, again, just to make a bit of interest, get them out of the greenhouse, and add some colour to the kitchen garden. Okay. Nice.
Hello everyone, happy Thursday. This is the same place where I filmed my introduction earlier in the video, and it's now Thursday, as I said then, and I have been doing lots this week in terms of sorting this greenhouse out. As you can probably see in the background, it's all looking much more empty, and I am today going to try and get my tomatoes in. Me and my husband were talking about this greenhouse because it's lovely, but the trees surrounding it are getting taller and taller, so there is getting to be less and less sun in here, which is very much not what it was like when we first moved in. The trees have just been growing and growing. There is still plenty of light in here, and there is a reasonable amount of sun that can kind of get through, but it definitely isn't sort of a traditional greenhouse position anymore. So I'm going to see how the tomatoes do this year, and then we're going to maybe have to think about what we're going to do moving forward. We don't really want to cut loads of the trees down around here because we love them. The kitchen garden area behind here has got lots of space, and now I've got my allotment. There is the potential to move this greenhouse further up into the kitchen garden, and then obviously I'd lose a bit of the kitchen garden space, but I've now gained the allotment growing space. So I'm not sure exactly what the future holds for this greenhouse, but we will see. My husband would love a new larger shed because he likes to make plastic models and things. So he's quite keen to move this greenhouse further up and then pop a shed in the space where this greenhouse is, because obviously the shed can be in the shade absolutely fine. But we'll see. Today we're getting this table out. We are getting the tomatoes in on both sides. I was originally going to clear the shelving at the back of the greenhouse and put some more plants in at the back there, but I don't think I'm going to, because I think I'm kind of cutting my nose off to spite my face if I do all of that in one go and get rid of all of my shelving space. So I am going to leave some shelves at the back and see how many tomatoes I can fit in down the sides. So that is today's job. Let's get started.
Once the space was clear, I spent some time topping up the bed on the right hand side of the greenhouse with some new compost, because this area hasn't been topped up for many years.
Hi guys, right, I have got my bamboo canes and the tomatoes, and I'm going to put them all in. I am putting in way more than is recommended in this space. Probably 3, maximum 4. I would normally stagger in each side. I'm putting 8 in each side, 4 at the back, 4 at the front. Definitely not recommended, but I've got so many. I just don't want them to go to waste. I probably will therefore get not such a great crop because they're all going to be squashed together. I'll feed them well. I will cut off any side shoots. I will probably have to trim the leaves around them to give them plenty of space and to allow air flow through. Yeah, so definitely don't put this many in. Don't grow this many. It's because I grew so many for the plant sale and then had loads of leftover ones as well. So 8 on this side, 8 on that side. I've got some spares I'm going to put in pots at the back of the greenhouse as well. I'm going to put an aubergine in a large pot in the middle of the greenhouse, and we'll see how we get on.
Okay, let's have a look and see how things are looking in here now. So we have the 8 tomato plants on each side. Do not recommend, do not do this. Do as I say, not as I do. I've got some marigolds that I've grown from seed down here in the front, which I'm really happy with. And after I filmed this, I think I popped in some basil that I've been growing from seed in some of the gaps as well. So hopefully they will be some nice companions. After doing all this, I gave everything a good water, and I think I just showed you the aubergine at the back of the greenhouse as well, so fingers crossed. Can I get an aubergine? I have no success with aubergines. Anyone with aubergine tips, please do let me know. I have some little teeny ones as well, which I might try and put up in the kitchen garden in a gap, but we'll see. Then I picked these beautiful sweet peas, the first sweet peas of the season, to take into the kitchen and to enjoy. The scent is amazing. And then finally it was time to sow my She Grows Veg Manpacucci carrots. And they are being sown in this old fruit oil drum, and I'm just making some drills here about 1 centimetre deep. And then here are the seeds in the packet, and I just finally sprinkle these into the drills that I've made in the top of the soil here. The soil is a mixture of sand and compost and a bit of grit as well, giving it all a good water, and then I'm just covering it over here. Not really sure why I'm doing this, to be honest, probably just to help a little bit with germination and heat, but we're not really struggling with that at the moment. And that is the end of my Thursday evening. Not before I managed to feed the robin again. She is very hungry because she's just about to go back on the nest. So a beautiful moment to end my Thursday evening. Friday began as Thursday had ended, feeding my lovely little robin friend, but her behaviour was much more nervy today, so I don't know if anything had spooked her. Lots of the birds were making some warning noises, so I think something must have been going on. It was a super busy day on Friday. I was out all day, so this is just in the evening, me staking the cornflowers that I'm taking to Gardener'S World Live next week. And after I finished staking these, I did also pop up the allotment, but I didn't film that, just to check on everything really. And I noticed that there was a huge delivery of woodchip at the allotment, so I made a plan to visit early on Saturday morning with my husband. So this is the cornflowers now staked and ready for their journey on Monday to Gardener'S World Live. So bright and early on Saturday morning, it was back to the allotment, first to admire these beautiful poppies and then to fill the barrow with as much woodchip as we could carry down to. I had also bought some cardboard with me, and my plan for this woodchip was to cover the area next to the greenhouse structure. So first I laid down the cardboard next to the structure, and then I just gradually covered it with the woodchip to help suppress the weeds and create a nice smooth surface in this area, either for using with the table and chairs that are currently in the greenhouse or to display some pots. Whilst my husband then very kindly went to get another barrow full of the woodchip, me and my little boys did some much needed watering, and I just love getting them involved with things like this. I'm hoping these are core memories being made for them here, and perhaps they will want to grow things of their own too in the years to come. When the next barrow full arrived, I again tipped it onto the cardboard here, and it was nearly enough to cover the remaining cardboard I had here, but there was a small gap left. So here I am just smoothing it all out, and then it was back up to the pile to fill one more barrow full with the woodchip. And that's because I'm going to fill in the tiny gap that I have left and then save some for tomorrow when I'm going to bring some more cardboard to finish the job. Here I am moving the water butt into the greenhouse structure to clear the area that I'm going to put the cardboard tomorrow. And here I am putting in the last little bits to finish off this area. And then I saved the remaining for tomorrow. So over here on the left, I'm going to have some compost bays where all of those brambles are. And then in that gap there next to the greenhouse, I'm going to mow that in the morning and put down some cardboard and the remaining wood chips. So this whole area is fully covered. And I think I'm going to try and flank the edges here with some little borders, perhaps some little fences or something. And then either use this as a sitting area with the chairs that are currently in the greenhouse structure, or put some pots here, or both really. But I just think it'll be a better use of the space here and stop any weeds coming up. Here you can see my brassicas are doing well in the cage. Really happy with how things are looking here for this year. This area I have lots of cardboard and lots more compost, so tomorrow's job as well, Sunday, I'm hoping to dig out some of this area and cover with compost and the cardboard again, and put my pumpkins that I've got in the greenhouse in here. And then this area really is a work in progress. But as I've said many times in my videos over the last year or so, progress over perfection, and we are making progress here, and it's just beautiful to see. We ended our visit to the allotment with a trip down to the pond to check on the tadpoles, many of which are now getting legs. Providing so many wonderful learning opportunities for my two little boys. Then the boys headed home and I headed to this wonderful location called Jordan's Mill in Bedfordshire with a friend who runs the Good Life Garden in Bedford, and it was a fantastic recommendation. We had a brilliant lunch here and then we explored the gardens, admiring these really brilliant onions looking fantastic and this rye blowing in the wind, absolutely beautiful. Definitely recommend a visit here if you're in the area. Then we admired this salvia because I'm visiting Middleton Nurseries with Kate for the Gardener's World build next week, and we're picking up some salvia. And these amazing lettuces. I mean, just look at the lack of slug damage on here, and the uniform nature of everything. It was absolutely beautiful. Enjoyed the flowers mixed in with the veggies, and here are some red currants in a fruit cage. And pleased to see the brassicas here are looking pretty similar to the size of mine at the allotment. So just a fantastic location. Look at the beauty of this place. Jordan's Mill in Bedfordshire. If you're in the area, I can't recommend it highly enough. Once home, I ended my beautiful allotment and garden based day with a little walk up the garden to the kitchen garden area to pop in my Jackby little pumpkins. These are going on the other side of the pumpkin arch, and first of all I just tie some string across the lower part of the arch here to create some climbing support for them, as I did in my video last week, just this kind of crisscross structure. And then I'm popping the Jackby little pumpkins in, and I think I'm probably putting in too many for the arch, we will find out. I decided to put 5 plants here. I think probably 3 would be the recommended amount. So we'll find out how the plants grow and how the structure copes with them growing here. But I have so many, I just pop. I've also bought an additional arch for the allotment area, and I'm taking some of my spare pumpkins down there as well. And I'm sure there'll probably even be spares for my allotment neighbours. And that ends our wonderful gardening Saturday in a wonderful but very emotional gardening week in this Gardener's year. Thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video today, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all again next week for a very exciting week indeed.